snafu this afternoon. I do want to send out a couple of prayer requests here, if I may so. Dodie Renford, who is a very active volunteer and with the party here in the county, lost her father yesterday, so keep her in your prayers. And also Bill LeMay, who was supposed to have been our moderator for tonight, has actually gone to the hospital with a severe asthma attack. Filling in for Bill LeMay will be the mayor of Four Oaks, Mr. Linwood Parker, and I'll turn it over to him at this time.
Well, I hope that y'all came to see these gentlemen and not Mr. LeMay, because if you just drove up here to see Mr. LeMay, you'd be disappointed, because I doubt I'll do as well as he would have done. But I would add to the chairman's prayer request the daughter of Mr. Santor, who is present in the hospital. And as we begin to amend tonight, let's make sure it would have been everybody who's having difficult times and sicknesses that we know about. Okay, the ground rules, my understanding of the ground rules, the first ground rule is this: there will not be one of those John King moments. If I ask a question that y'all don't like, don't jump on the edge just so I wrote it down. Now, outside of that, this is a very serious event. One of these three men are going to represent you in the Congress of the United States. The 7th district is a Republican district, and the people of that district want to change. They want to see this government change, and one of these individuals will represent your interest in the fall. I say that to say that this is very serious, and let's conduct ourselves in a serious manner tonight. And as we hear where each one of these candidates would carry our country. By understanding that each candidate will have 2 minutes, beginning with Mr. Crow, who won. You won tonight. You won the drawing. Senator Rouser will be second. Mr. Pantano. And I have asked my friends from Brunswick County to make sure I did not mispronounce your name. If I do, it was because people from Brunswick County told me how to pronounce it. And yeah, there's a lot of folks from Brunswick County here, and we're glad and proud to have them all here. After that, we will have questions up to about 8:15. And the way that'll work, I will address in a random fashion these candidates. First one that is asked a question will get 2 minutes to respond. Timekeepers over here. And they've got, that will mean you got, what, 15 seconds? The other one means stop. Now, I don't know who's going to force to stop, but please stop when you see that. The other 2 candidates will have 1 minute to respond to that, and then you obviously get your 2-minute question at the same time. My understanding that the ladies in the back have already assembled some questions from the audience. Do we have those for these? Okay. It's a shame Leo Daughtry's not here. He always says for me to stand up. That's when I'm standing up. I want to recognize, if I may, before I call on the candidates, any family members that may be here. Do you have any family members with you?
I have a big family, and they're all wearing Pantano shirts.
Yeah. I've had most of them.
Soon that'll be all of you. Thank you.
Senator Rouser, I do know your grandmother from Four Oaks and father is here, and I don't know who else is here. And I asked Mr. Crow, and he said his family was back behind as well. But anyway, I know it's a burden on all of his family what you're going through. And anyway, I appreciate what they've done to write part of the process. All right, opening statements. Mr. Crow, you're first.
Thank you. Ellen Brown, March the 22nd, posted an article entitled "Wall Street Confidence Trick: How Interest Rate Swaps Are Bankrupting Local Governments." In it, she explains Goldman convinced local governments, hospitals, etc., which banksters call Muppets, that they will lower their interest costs if they enter into interest rate swaps with banksters. It was a confidence scheme. Goldman interest rate swap hustle has been compared to payday loans. Banksters make 4 to 6%. Governments paid 0.1%. Banksters get paid 50 times more than they pay local governments. August 2001, North Carolina paid $59.8 million to get out of some of its interest rate swap loans. New Hanover County hospitals made adjustable rate mortgages loans in the early 2000s, which I complained. Yawn. How to stop the mess? Get laws passed stating governments can get out of Goldman payday loans without a penalty. Start by telling New York banksters, thanks for the loans, we're not paying a dime more unless you waive the penalty. Pick $100 million or so of North Carolina's worst collateralized loans and stop paying. Every time the banksters get mad, call the media. Why haven't politicians stopped Goldman's interest rate swap steal taxpayer money confidence trick? Money in politics. Bankster contributors are telling their Muppets to give Goldman their free ride in the wagon. If you want a person in Washington who's dealt with banksters and will work to stop them, please vote for me, Randy Crow.
Senator Rouse.
Thank you, Mayor Parker. First, let me thank the Johnston County Republican Party for hosting this forum. And I'd also like to thank one of my opponents, Lario Pantano, for his service to this country in not only one war, but in 2 wars. Let's give him a round of applause. As most all of you know, I represent Johnston County and Wayne County in the North Carolina Senate. I have some of my family here and many of my extended family here. And you know, when I serve in the state Senate, I think about 2 groups of people. I think about the small businessman that's trying to make it in spite of the government. I think about the single mom who's trying to raise her kids, working 2 and 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet. You know, there were some ratings that came out today that listed me as among the top 10 most effective lawmakers in Raleigh. And I think part of that is because of those 2 groups of individuals that I think about on a daily basis when I'm representing Johnston County and Wayne County in the state Senate. You know, this past legislative session, we did some historic things. We balanced the budget without raising taxes. In fact, we cut taxes. We cut spending. I led the effort to go after the liberal bureaucracies in Raleigh, where I focused hard on cutting the red tape and the bureaucratic nightmare that small businesses have to go through. In fact, we passed a monumental regulatory reform bill that's going to be a great service to business and industry in the state, helping to create a better business climate. I led the fight against Obamacare, the individual mandate in the state Senate. All those things I have a proven strong track record. And if we can do a quarter of those things in Washington, we'll turn this economy around and this country around very quickly. Thank you.
Mr. Pantano.
I'm Ilario Pantano. Ilario is the Italian version of Hillary. My parents had a sense of humor. I'm like a boy named Sue, and I've been fighting my whole life. My family actually can't be here tonight because my wife is taking care of my 2 young boys, 7 and 9. They just started school today after a wonderful Easter break, so you'll have to forgive that. My mother lives in Pender County, but you know, with redistricting, the same reason that I'm here tonight, she actually can't vote for me. So she's a little bit upset about that, but we'll sort that out later. The bottom line, friends, is I would like to turn this around to all of you, since you're going to be asking questions. How many of you think the economy and jobs are the #1 issue facing our federal government right now? Would you raise your hands? The economy and jobs. How many of you think that gas prices and energy prices are probably one of the top drivers of the economy? Would you raise your hands? How many of you then, by extension, and I'm not going to embarrass you and ask you to raise your hands, but how many of you think that somebody who spent time in the private sector dealing in the global energy markets with gasoline, heating oil, natural gas, and trading electricity that that might be a good professional background to be bringing to Washington. Instead of a lifetime or a career spent in politics, time spent in the private sector. How many of you think that that might be a good idea? I want you to think about that. Don't want to embarrass you with shows of hands, but I know that right now all of us feel like we need a little bit more common sense in Washington. Friends, I would ask that you take a look at one of these cards. I've got them in the back. My platform is about 4 things. It's a pro-growth agenda, growing the size of our private sector economy by reducing government and regulation, repealing Obamacare, repealing Dodd-Frank, repealing Sarbanes-Oxley, so that the private sector can grow. I believe that energy independence would help our economy start moving again. Protecting our homeland by securing our borders, preserving conservative values, and lastly, principled leadership, which includes term limits. And tonight we'll talk about why that's so important. Thank you so much for having me. Thank
you. Okay. We'll begin the questioning to my right of Mr. Crow. First question that we have from the audience: what do you think the next U.S. president should do about Afghanistan?
Okay. Well, there's a lot of interesting things going on right now. First of all, we're chomping at the bit to nuke Iran, and then some people say, well, we need to jump out of Afghanistan. We're already out of Iraq. That doesn't make sense, because if we if we go to war against Iran, we're going to instantly have to go back to Afghanistan. We're going to be in Iraq as well. It's a region. You can't do just one without the other. I think that it depends on what goes on in Iran. I think if personally, I feel like if we attack Iran, we're looking at $10 a gallon gas at the pump, and I think that we are on the road to insolvency because of our debt and things of that sort. So I'm not a fan of attacking Iran. Some people say that, we have a HARP, which is a defensive weapon that can put a shield over that entire area. We've got, Israel has got plenty of weapons. We've got ships with cruise missiles on them. I really don't think, Iran spends $7 billion, we spend $700 billion a year. I don't really see them as a big threat. I think our economy is a bigger threat than Iran is. And so I'm not a fan of attacking Iran, but I think that whatever goes on in that area, that you're disingenuous to say, oh, we're going to come out of Afghanistan, we're out of this, that, and the other, but I want to nail Iran, because as soon as you nail Iran, you're going to have to do the other, go back. Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
My question is, what are we going to do about in terms of engagement with Afghanistan? Can you repeat the question, Mr. Brown?
What do you think the next U.S. president should do about Afghanistan?
Well, the first thing I think the next U.S. president should do is listen to the commanders on the ground, which clearly this president has not. Now, there's a reason, too, why you have civilian leadership. But I think that if I were elected as President of the United States, I'd get the ground generals in there and get their input and their advice, and then make the best judgment possible that's in the best interest of this country.
Some of you might know, but I've fought 2 wars to liberate Muslims from other Muslims. And I have a little bit of experience in the Middle East, and I have a little bit of experience in Iraq, where instability was instigated often by Iranians. And I have a little bit of experience in Afghanistan. And what I will tell you is I think it is time, following the strategic guidance of our commanders, to begin withdrawing our troops from Afghanistan in a way that allows us to continue to operate, to continue to strike and destroy terrorist targets where they appear. But I think that we have to recognize that after 10 years, we are in the twilight of our strategic mission there, and it's time to reallocate resources. Afghanistan is a complicated land. It's been called the death the graveyard of empires. We have to be mindful that there are things with its geography and its populace that are complicated. But we also can't forget that it borders Iran and China, and that there are real reasons why we need engagement there, including the relationship with its nuclear neighbor, Pakistan, which frankly is a graver threat to regional stability than Afghanistan. Thank you.